What's good, y'all? GR4 here. It's time to clear, and let's talk about the basic comp that most of the players are using actually, or a slight variation of it, and that is a Valk comp. Now, why is Valk so important? You've probably played this stage already, and that is obviously because if you use her properly, you're going to be able to hit the minions while they're still standing still right there. And that's pretty much just her and her alone that is able to do that, as well as in magic damage. So obviously I'll be looking for comps without her. I've been able to make it work for stage 5, but not yet for stage 6. But enough of the talking, let's get to the comp. So, obviously Isolde. Isolde isn't necessarily required. You could obviously swap her for Haas to make your life easier. But the main benefit is not only is she a tank, but also she boosts Volkra, and Volkra really is pretty key in this comp. Now, onto Volkra. So you might have heard a rumor of people saying that you need her at A1 to succeed, because at A1 she increases her basic attack range, and then with her ultimate she's going to be able to hit one tile further. But that's not actually true. She actually increases her attack range, but if you do give her a shield, she actually increases her attack range by 2, which then allows her to also hit the enemy further away. And also when we get to the gear requirements right here, keep in mind my Volkra has very terrible luck when it comes to the ultimate. So we are dealing with the level 2 ultimate. So the higher the ultimate, the less requirements you need for her. So set of choice is going to be Inferno Roar, and that is because we really from the start want to be pumping out the most amount of damage possible instead of ramping it up through Sorbonne Arcana. Obviously there's still the Sorbonne Arcana glitch, so at the end of the day you're probably going to get away with using Sorbonne Arcana, but let's imagine Sorbonne Arcana doesn't work. But yeah, for all those curious, Sorbonne Arcana at the moment should still be glitched, which means as long as you trigger any ultimate, it is going to count as a Sorbonne Arcana stack, which then obviously leads to you getting 5 stacks way faster. But yeah, it's also a question of the gear on this account of mine right here. So yeah. Enough of that, let's have a look at the stats. Obviously we have really decent attack, around 200%, 100% crit rate, 200 attack speed, and then 229 crit damage. Like I said, if you want to beat stage 4, stage 5, you can go with way lower requirements, and even, like we talked about, Sorbonne Arcana set. Now, artifact wise, obviously there's a couple of choices. You could be using an Eye of Sin, which is honestly working quite well, or you can use a ramp here, because we're talking about quite a bit of distance to the enemy. So yeah, those are like the main choices. Before we forget about it, let's have a look at her gear real quick. So if we're talking stage 6, you really need tanky tanks. Now, we're finally at the point where besides Voidrift Nightmare, where you can kind of still get by doing enough damage, you really need tanky tanks, and that is right here. So requirements are going to be around 300% HP, around 100% defense, and preferably, if you can manage it, a Guardian set, as well as then obviously a Bastion Ring. The higher upgraded your Bastion Ring, the lower the gear requirements can be. Next one, tank wise, this honestly Brock here is quite important because he's super strong and he's able to block a lot of people, but you might even be able to get away with an Oleg depending on the gear of your Karmet and of your anti-heal unit we'll get to later. But again, same stuff. You're going to look for around 300% HP, 100% defense, Guardian set if you can, and then right here, because he's our main tank, we have a 18 or a plus 19 Bastion Ring. So yeah, the higher the Bastion Ring, the lower the gear requirements. Dolores, we have a pretty standard Dolores. Or what means pretty standard? She's pretty good. So stat-wise, we have around 10k attack, which is quite a lot, but that mainly comes from the fact that we're running triple inspiration with a total of 198% attack already from the right side. And then just right here, high attack bonus, as well as high attack bonus and high attack. Substat-wise, we're only running 16% rage regen, but that is because we could also substitute in a golden scarab to make up for it. But at least for this run, it is totally fine to run around with, for example, Tumultus Horn. But honestly, let's just go with this. So yeah, that's the set of your Dolores. Elowen. So for Elowen, if you can manage it, Invigoration set is also going to be great, because Invigoration set will be on Karmet and will be on Volkra. But the main important part is you need a high attack speed. you really want her to be pumping out those heals pretty fast. So look for anything close to around 300 attack speed, preferably by then using a attack speed main set amulet. It just makes it the way easier. Healing effect, anything of around 100 is totally fine, and then the rest you can just blast into attack really. Which then brings us to Venoma. So at least for stage 6, Venoma is really helpful because it allows you to get your ultimates off faster. And if you have a Venoma, you're going to be able to trigger your ultimates faster, which means you don't need as high requirements in gear and in stats. But at least for 4 and 5, it's in no way, shape or form required. And as long as you upgrade your Valkyrie high enough, or you then work with, as you've already seen it, tumultuous horns for the start, you're not really going to notice her. We're also not going to place her down. Then we have the big boy Comet. So for Comet, we're running a Soulbound Arcana set with a rather big... Obviously, my Soulbound Arcana sets on this account here aren't really that great, but we have around 200% attack, 250 attack speed, 100% crit rate, and then like 180% or like 197% crit damage. The main part is you could even go higher in attack as long as you have the fitting gear pieces. I just don't. And then obviously artifact wise, there's only one real choice, and that is a Tear of Twilight, and you do really want it at 25. If we're talking stage 6, and please don't worry too much, you can easily beat stage 4 and 5 with this comp, and it's not going to be comparable to the difficulties of stage 6. Then we have our Vortex. Our Vortex is pretty standard. Honestly, high attack speed, high health, rather decent healing effect, and then artifact wise, Tumultuous Horn, just so he can get his first ultimate off a bit faster, even on top of a Venoma. And then the finishing unit. Now you might be wondering, wait, is this a demi only comp? The answer is no. It doesn't matter who you use, but they need to be able to enter here. So it's either Lycia, Demi, or Artemis. You have the choice between the three of them. Pick any of those. Give them a Soulbound Arcana set or Infernal Roar set, depending on the character. And then here stat-wise, we have rather low attack at around 180%, rather high-ish attack speed at 250, 100% crit rate and 160% crit damage, and finishing off with a plus 10 or plus 13 Tear of Twilight. And like I said, the important part is, the main part here is kind of going to stay the same. You also obviously have the choice of taking out Brock here, putting in, for example, Garn, or taking out Venoma, putting in Cyrus. Even if you have the stats, you can obviously take off Venoma, put in Raiden. And also, obviously, like I said, lastly, Demi isn't really required. It's just, on this account, honestly, the only anti-heal unit I have. And, oh no, Zealous doesn't count, alright? So yeah, here we go, stage 6. Let's make this quick. So we're going to start off with Comet, bring in Elowin, as well as then obviously apply the inspiration onto Comet. The main reason for Elowin so early is just so we can get our rage cycling going. And then right here you really need to be rather fast in getting your tank out, or it's going to target the last placed unit, which would be Elowin, which leads to her dying. It's obviously not something we're looking for. So, yeah, right here we're just going to bring in Brock here, because Brock is just way tankier than our Isolde. And then we're just going to wait to regenerate some cost, and as soon as we have the cost, we're going to place down our anti-heal unit. So in this case, it's going to be Demi. Alright. So yeah, enemy units are walking in, and then it's going to be pretty simple. As soon as they are in range, you're going to activate Comet. As soon as they're in range of your anti-heal unit, you're going to activate your anti-heal unit. Preferably you want to activate them both at the same time to maximize the damage value of Comet. So slight misplay there, I guess, but honestly it's not that bad. So right here we're then going to start out with our Vortex, so he can already start regenerating some rage. Bring in our Valkyrie, and then finish off by giving inspiration to her, as well as getting ready. So right here we're going to ult with Vortex to increase her shield, then consume her shield through her ultimate and give her inspiration through Dolores, as well as then having a look at the bottom side, where again we need to deal with all those 8 enemies. Right here we can already use the elf from Elowin. Now on the note of Elowin, you should, or you might be able to substitute her for Hollow, but it just means that you're going to have way more trouble at the top side there. So yeah, as enemies are coming in, we're going to activate Brocky's ultimate, activate Carmel's ultimate, and then obviously activate Demi's ultimate, as well as, let's just go with Elowin's ultimate, because we can. So right here, the beautiful part is, even if the enemies come close to Volcra, they're not going to attack her because she only has 2 block. So right here you can see we were barely able to deal with them, but that is pretty much everything you could be asking for. So we were able to deal with the enemies. We're again going to shield, use the shield, use Volcra to consume the shield, use Dolores to boost her, and then start dealing with the enemies. And like I said, don't worry about the distance. You're going to get 6 tile distance as long as you consume the shield. So yeah, from here on out, it's pretty much just rinse and repeat. And out of all the comps you could be making, this is by far the simplest. And it really doesn't require all that much attention. It's just a question of, are your tanks tanky enough? Do your healers heal enough? And do your dealers deal enough? It's at least at this point, it's that simple, as dumb as that sounded. Whoopsies. But yeah, again, we're going to wait for the same thing. We're going to shield with Vortex, activate Volcra, boost Volcra, and then have her deal with the enemies. Same thing, look for the bottom row, make sure that your tanks survive, activate Karmet, and then rinse and repeat. And also, this is obviously the same process you're also going to follow when it comes to stage 4 or 5. So like, it's pretty much very, very similar, and just lower stat requirements. So right down there we have a problem, and that is our tanks dying. Unfortunate. So we might still be able to win through the slow of Demi, but let's have a look. Okay, we were pretty fucking close. So what we're going to do is, I'm gonna restart the fight, cut back to the point where our tanks didn't die, because there obviously is some slight RNG in it. Is your Brock here triggering his invulnerability earlier? Is he not? So we kind of mistimed this ult a bit. See you there. Alright, back we are, and shit is freaking close. Like, honestly, it really also sometimes has to do with the timing you place down Isolde, and then timing the northern buff triggers, and then the northern buff trigger actually blocking a hit instead of not blocking a hit. And as you can see, we have an almost dead enemy, and then one enemy right here. So this guy should die before he reaches, and yeah. So just make your tanks even tankier. Like, the first time I cleared this on the test server, I kind of had to rely on 225 Bastion rings. But yeah, it is really ridiculous, the amount of stats that are required for your tanks. But yeah, that's it. Stage 6 done. At least only one lord, I guess. So yeah, let's again just go over the changes you could make to the team real quick, just as a reminder. Then I'll excuse myself, tell you all to like, subscribe, and leave auto running, because someone also asked for a non-commentary run that they would be able to follow. So I'll just give you a full auto, no cam. Yeah. So again, Volcra is pretty crucial, at least for the way we're doing it right here. Isolde could be taken out if your Volcra is stronger, mainly through skill ups really. Sorbonne Arcana set is also again glitched, so you have a chance of finding more success using the Sorbonne Arcana set on her. Garn is a pretty popular tank. And yeah, again, Demi could be Artemis or Lycia. And just to kind of, I guess, prove a point, let's have a look at the recommended lineups again. So you're kind of seeing like this, the same thing, right? Also, you have the option to put in Constance for even more damage. But yeah, and then yeah, if you go through the teams, you're going to kind of see the same things in different variations. And obviously, pray to see the most disgusting person ever. So yeah, there we go. Cleared. Yay! But yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, honestly, I'm really just too freaking busy at the moment. I see if I can find another stage 6 comp without Volkera, but I mean, at least she's a common legendary, which is the problem my main account is running into, because I put only one time and I sold her for Salazar's A3 Soulstone around like 4 or 5 months ago, and maybe I'm now just a teeny tiny bit regretting that, but is what it is. Mistakes are there to be made, and yeah, peace. What the fuck? What the fuck is going on now? That's just great. The hell even happened there? Like, how how are we failing? Like, obviously what we've seen is Volcro only had 5 reach instead of 6, but why? What the fuck is this? Do I really need to stay here and have a look? So yeah, I guess surprise visit. Let's check why Autofight isn't doing what Autofight is supposed to do in just copying what you did. But yeah, let's get to the point that Volker gets placed down and figure out what's happening. So yeah, the main reason is basically that shield wasn't applied, but I mean either she got hit or the ultimate timing trigger is just dumb. I don't know. It's something like that. So for the first wave, it looks to be working, and you can see it even with 30% more stats. If you don't play it perfectly, it's going to get quite close. Okay, there we go. So Vortex is triggering a bit too early. Uh Alright, fuck that. Guess I'm doing a non-commentary Power of Dominance run. So yeah, see you there. Fucking unexpected. Alright, yeah, so that's been it. Quite a fight, and for everyone still watching, the only real tip I can still give you is probably the fact that the bigger you make the shields, the higher your Valkyrie's damage. So yeah, especially once she gets hit by that AoE wave, make sure to let Vortex heal her, maybe even overshield her, and then overshield again with his shield to then consume it, because there's up to 100% increased damage the bigger your shield. So yeah, quite a fight, and we see each other in the next one.